Shalom, Kahalo, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakodash, double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us his truth, and shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word of truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. All right, this is just a quick lesson. I saw a video on Portland, Oregon, and about how the town is just really going to hell. So the Spirit jumped on me and said, you need to do a quick video on that because the curses are going on to this devil, clearly. When you think of Portland, right, you think of Edom and how they, first they stole the land from Jake, right? Because we are those Native Americans looking, the so-called blacks, we're those Native Americans. All right, so get that right first. All right, so we'll start right here. Revelation 13:10, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints, okay? We all know that. That's basically what goes around comes around. All right? You reap what you sow. Let's get. Let me see. Whatsoever a man soweth. Yeah, there we go. Let's get that real quick. And I'm kind of going in the spirit, so bear with me. Galatians 6:7. Be not deceived. Okay, now I got to go back. Be not deceived. The Most High is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Now, what I forgot to do in Revelation, I forgot to read 9. Okay, if any man have an ear, let him hear. See, that's the setup. You got to put the setup in there. Revelation 13:9. If any man have an ear, let him. If you have understanding, okay, understand this. You reap what you sow. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints, okay? The setup, I forgot the setup there. If any man hath an ear, let him hear. That's that understanding. Now we go back to Galatians. Here's the setup. Be not deceived. Okay? The Most High is not mocked. Right? For whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. All right, so with that, let's look at the cocaine 80s, right? This is that sword. See, Esau, he said, I got this sword. I'm a smuggle it into the inner city and kill Jake with it. All right, so this is the Root channel 1 year ago. How the crack era changed Black America forever. This is Jake. How Jake was killed with the sword. Okay, so let's watch a little bit of this.
We will see large numbers of poor people, and specifically blacks, going to jail and to prison, and they will not have a chance.
In the early 1980s, the nation's slogan was clear:
just say no.
Crack now has spread to almost every American city.
But what if I told you that there was more to the crack era than what the white mainstream news media let on? And that it went beyond Black and Latinx folks who simply needed to kick a drug habit.
Okay, Black and who? You talking about Jake. You talking about the tribes. See? Only one that they didn't say. The only one they didn't say is Native American, and there they are. There's the Native Americans, and there's the. What did they do when the Dawes rolls came out? They let the devil in to get the money, and what did they do to Jake? They named the Native Americans, they named them Negro. They classified them as it. So whoever has Negro on their birth certificate, like I do, born in 63, okay, if you were born at a certain time and there's Negro on your birth certificate, guess what? You might very well be from the tribe of Gad, Issachar. You don't know. Okay? We immediately, when you say Negro, you immediately think, oh, that's Judah. Well, guess what? Native Americans, ask ODB. Somebody brought ODB up the other day. ODB looked like a Negro, right? But he knew who he was. I forget what tribe he was from, but he was straight Native American. Okay, so let's not see. Oh well, they left out Native American. No, they didn't. They're right there. Black. All they did was rename them. Why? So that Esau could get that money. Okay, just saying. Carry on.
And Latinx folks who simply needed to kick a drug habit. Today's baggage: how the war on drugs ravaged Black America. Once upon a time, in a not so far away and familiar place, the United States entered what became known as the crack era. During the early 1980s, a new drug somehow infiltrated low-income Black and brown communities, causing crime and chaos. It was called
crack cocaine.
The problem is crack cocaine.
Crack cocaine may deny these black children a decent future.
Well, it turns out that your uncle, who always talks about the man, was right. Well, sort of. While crack did absolutely ravage some Black and brown communities, it wasn't that simple. The United States government and agents of the state were corrupt and had a hand in creating this dark time in America's history. Misinformation about crack cocaine and its users flooded airwaves and proved to be just as dangerous as the substance itself. Decades after the crack era has come and gone, its impact lives on. But before we fall any deeper into this rabbit hole,
its impact lives on like slavery. You hear that one more time. See that? Long after crack is gone, you still got some smokers out there, some crackheads. But decades after the crack era has come and gone, its impact lives on, just like slavery.
Come and gone, its impact lives on. But before we fall any deeper into this rabbit hole, let's take it back to the beginning of this war on drugs, which is often dubbed America's longest war in history.
Please don't pour!
The federal government first banned the recreational use of a substance, opium, in the early 1900s.
Going back to opioids.
Then came the Prohibition era, which focused on alcohol. Shortly after, the feds began to track and vilify people who struggled with addiction, especially if they were Black. Fast forward to 1971, when Richard Nixon declared war.
America's public enemy number one is drug abuse.
2 presidents later, Ronald Reagan not only carried on, but weaponized this anti-drug stance.
Drugs are menacing our society.
Though Reagan was the first president who promised to
Make America great again.
but rather he made things worse for low-income communities. In fact, at the time, the poverty rate grew faster in the first 3 years of Reagan's presidency than in any other time since the 1950s. Meanwhile, in another part of the world, the United States was funding an illegal war in Nicaragua, and drug smugglers were sending cocaine to the U.S. on U.S. planes. Somehow, the United States officials had no clue.
Whether the United States actually loaded up the planes with cocaine, or whether they just kind of turned their backs, right, and let the planes take off and go to the United States and land, the United States knew that at the very least that cocaine was being flown in and just ignored it.
Okay, so that's good enough. We understand. Everybody knows now Freeway Ricky Ross and the whole story on who brought the dope in and why. Why did they do that? They were taking Jake down. Okay? They were taking Jake down. It's plain. All right. Let's get He that what? He that set a trap. He that set snares. Let's get that. They catch me on them true. I want to get the one where it comes back, so bear with me. Jeremiah 5:26. For among my people are found wicked men, they lay wait. As he that setteth snares, they set a trap, they catch men. Okay, well, this is talking about Jake helping that damn devil. Let him fall. Let him fall. Let him fall. Let me see. Let's see if I can find it. Psalm 35:8. Let destruction come upon him at unawares, and let his net that he hath hid catch himself. Into that very destruction let him fall. It's not exactly what I was looking for. He that setteth snares shall fall into. Let's see. But you understand. You get the idea. Psalm 141:10. Let the wicked fall into their own nets while I pass by in safety. Okay? It's all in there. Okay? It's all in there. This one. Okay? Psalm 71:5. He made a pit and he digged it and has fallen into the ditch which he made. Okay? Now, let's go here. Let's go to Oregon. And let's start by, okay, black exclusion laws in Oregon's racist history. All right, this is KGW News 2 years ago. Let's listen to this real quick because they're going to set it up. They're going to keep saying white supremacy and white da-da-da-da. All right, and now mind you, North, Central, and South America was inhabited by Jake, right? The Native Americans who look like Negroes, which were reclassified as Negroes. Remember that. Before they ever looked like the Indians that you would see today, oh, he's American Indian, they look like Negroes. Long before any Spaniard or anybody else came over here. Remember that. Here we go.
You know, the death of George Floyd has many people here taking a closer look at Oregon's Black history. A Portland woman has dedicated much of her life to studying and teaching about that very topic. Her name is Walida Imarisha, and she's an educator and
as Black as her name is, Walida, the way she can be talking her perfect English like me, right, or whatever, you can tell that she ain't, she don't look like no Negro. She look like a mulatto, whatever mix, going into how far we've come away from actually looking like the original Native Americans, the tribe of Gad and the Cherokees and the Blackfoot and all of that. Keep that in mind.
historian. So today we want to highlight her work as part of our series of community conversations. Walida, thank you so much for talking with me today. Let's start with this. When people think about racism, I think a lot of people think of slavery in the South, but let's talk Oregon's history. How far back do you have to go to find that sort of inequality?
Absolutely. I think that's really important that a lot of myths about race are told in this country. One of them being that racism is something that's located in the South. The reality is racism is an American problem. Malcolm X said anything south of the Canadian border is the South. And so the issues around race and the foundations of white supremacy in Oregon have existed since before Oregon was a state. The foundations of the Oregon Territory were as a racist white utopia. And we can see that by many laws that have been passed, especially the Black Exclusion Law. The first one was passed in 1844, which outlawed Black people from living in the Oregon Territory, which was the entire Northwest. That law also included the lash law that said that Black people would be publicly whipped up to 39 lashes every 6 months until we left.
That's coming. He that leadeth into captivity shall go in it. What do you think is going to happen when you're in captivity? You Edomites, you Idumeans. What do you think? You think you're not going to get your back whipped? All right? That's slavery, okay? But you're going to fall into your own trap as well, okay? What about that karma? How does it go? The Most High is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall also he reap. Salaki, I'm paraphrasing.
So from the very foundation of Oregon as a territory, as a state, this has been the product of being a racist white utopia.
We talk about
a racist white utopia. So to this very day, well, they did away with, they took the laws off the books in 2002, right? Does that mean anything has changed? The law changed. Does that mean that the devil ain't up there stalking and lynching Jakes if they come there? This is a sundown state. Okay, you got sundown towns. Oregon is a sundown state to this day.
You know, Portland labeling itself
Who? What did they say? Portland? Portlandia?
Labeling itself a progressive.
Slovakia. Got to get that word Portland in there.
Racist white utopia.
We talk about, you know, Portland labeling itself a progressive city, but in fact, it's 70% white. So why do you think that is, and why haven't more Black people moved to this area?
Moved to this. First of all, they were moved out. Right? You got nothing but Native Americans in there. Kill all the buffalo. You kill all the so-called Native Americans who are Black. Right? They're the children of Israel. Right? Quite sure they were all looking the same until they started getting washed out.
Again, it's incredibly important. The foundations of Oregon, the foundations of Portland are as a racist white utopia. And the institutions that shape all of our lives are rooted in that foundation of white supremacy. And we see it enacting in every indicator across the board. So if you look at things like the Urban League of Portland's State of Black Oregon report, you see in every category, there are huge disparities between Black and white experiences on education, on housing, on criminal legal engagements, on environmental justice. This is, again, not by coincidence. This is by design. And Oregon and Portland have not ever committed to doing the real work of uprooting institutional racism, preferring to give liberal lip service, which does nothing except really gaslight people of color about their experiences here.
Good enough. Okay, we're going to watch one more similar to this, and then we'll get to the coup de grace, what's really going on over there. Let me see. What do I got? Bear with me while I try to, let's see, Oregon's racist roots. This is only 2 minutes, so let's watch this after a million. Okay, here we go. Okay, from the top, here we go. This is KGW News, 2 years ago, Oregon's racist roots. Black exclusion laws, okay?
We know so many of you have questions about what's happening downtown every night. Trust me, we do too. You know that. We've got a lot of people working to try and provide some clarity and context. So if you have a question, let us know. Use that hashtag HeyDan on Twitter. Email the story at kgw.com.
And they talking about what this whole George Floyd thing is. 2 years ago, this goes back to the George Floyd psyop, if you will.
And me on Facebook at Dan Haggerty, KGW. Now, I want to take a minute and remember the original intent of these demonstrations, right? To rally for racial justice, something black people in Oregon have been fighting for a very long time.
Now, wait a minute. What? So suddenly, the so-called white man is going to stand up for blacks in Oregon? No, that was a psyop. Okay? Nothing's changed in Oregon except for the Most High exacting his revenge, the big payback. Okay? And this devil is trying to obscure what's really going on over there. I forgot what was that little thing called where they sectioned it off and they let people go wild. I forgot what it was called. I'll figure it out in a second.
Robert sent me this on Twitter last night. He said, "Hey, Dan, in the light of the Black Lives Matter protest, did you know that the racist language in the Oregon Constitution wasn't removed until 2002? Evidently, 30% of the population voted to retain it. Black people only got this victory 18 years ago. Is there anything in the KGW vault about this?" Well, we have talked about this before on the story, but it is worth repeating since most of you don't usually watch us every single day like you should. Before it became a state, the government of the Oregon Territory passed what were called black exclusion laws. Black people essentially were not allowed to settle in this territory or own any property.
After it was stolen. After it was stolen from the same black people, mind you, that once were called Native Americans, or their true identity is the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, right? But you can call them, you can reclassify them on paper, call them Negroes, and then take everything that they have and even take the money that's supposed to go to them and give it to yourself under the Dawes rules. So
laws became part of the Constitution when Oregon first became a state in 1859. Voters eventually did repeal those laws in 1926, but like Robert said, the actual language was not removed from the state constitution until 2002, and 30% of voters at the time wanted to keep that racist language in. In the early 1900s, the Ku Klux Klan was booming in Oregon.
The who was booming in Oregon? Okay, so keep this in mind. Okay, because right now we're at the end of this thing where all of this has to be paid for, right? Now, we're not talking about us donning hoods and going back out and taking these people down. The Most High is doing it. No, we're going to get to that. All of this is a setup to where we're going to see what's going on in Portland today, okay?
Oregon actually had the largest KKK membership per capita in the entire country, and they helped get racist politicians elected to office, including Governor Walter M. Pierce in 1922. And like a lot of cities across the country, Portland was no stranger to redlining. Banks denied mortgages to people of color in certain areas, created segregated neighborhoods. The map you see here of Portland shows how it was divided up in 1940. The red areas are labeled hazardous because of, quote, undesirable populations. The federal government banned the practice in the 1970s after the civil rights movement, but the effects of it are still doing resounding harm to this day.
But the effects of it, like slavery, right? Okay, so we set that up. Now, here's the actual video that I saw yesterday. I had to set that up. We had to get some background to what I'm going to show now. All right, so where are we at? We're here. All right, I saw this yesterday, and I'm like, wow, look there. All right, Portland's meltdown, a progressive experiment that has gone colossally bad. All right, so update to today. Okay, now before we play this, I want to get a preset.
I was in my 30s when.
Okay, this is a commercial. So let me let this play. Okay, Clayton, what are you doing? Okay, so we got this set up 23 hours ago. So this is very new. Portland's meltdown. Wait a minute. Why are we seeing Portland, of all places, melt down? Let's get where are we going? All these curses. that one, this one. Okay. Deuteronomy 30 and 7. Here's where we are today. Okay. And it's beautiful. So, and this is to uplift the elect right now. Because if you look around, okay, we're very close. We're Yahushua is at the door, right? And this is the proof, all right? Deuteronomy 30 and 7. And the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. Okay? What comes around goes around. So we're in the time of, guess what? The curses are coming on our enemies. Who are our enemies? All we got to do, let's get it real quick. All right, remember. Okay, let's get the list of enemies here. All right. Start at 6. Let's get the word enemy. For lo, Psalm 83 and 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They hate us? Our enemies hate us. Who are our enemies? Jump down to 6. Psalm 83 and 6. The tabernacles of Edom. We could stop right there and close the book. So-called white men and the Ishmaelites, the Arabs, they hate you too. Moab, the Chinese, the Africans, especially this guy. Okay? Here's the list of enemies. Okay? Now that we know who our enemies are and we know what? That all these curses are going to come upon them pursuant to Deuteronomy 30 and 7. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies and upon them that hate thee. Wait a minute, who hates us? Which persecuted thee. Wait a minute. Who hates us? Same thing. Okay? Same people that hate us. All right? Who? And they that hate thee. Okay? For lo, thine enemies, let's talk about the Most High. His enemies. And they that hate thee, who hates the Most High? Well, they not only hate the Most High, they hate us too. Okay? Specifically, Esau. This was in yesterday's video, okay? Let's get that real quick. Who hates who? Genesis 27 and 41. They that hate thee, Genesis 27 and 41. And Esau hated Jacob. Stop, close the book. And Esau hated Jacob. Why? Because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. Okay? We can read the rest. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. Okay, but wait, who hates who? Esau hated Jacob. So, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Right? The Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemy. We know who our enemy is. And on them that hate thee, starting with Esau and going on down the line, which persecuted thee. How'd they persecute us? Well, go back to Portland. What did they do? They put crack. Where is that? How the crack. Here's how they persecuted us right here. Give me one of them good. Give me one of them good city where they just this. Look at this. Them that persecuted thee. Okay? So this got to come back on them. Well, let's take a look. Okay, Portland meltdown, a progressive experiment that has gone colossally bad. Colossally. 23 hours ago. Okay? Let's look at it. Slovakia. Let's go back.
Good morning from the beautiful city of Portland, Oregon.
These are images and video from an army of citizen journalists in Portland who have been documenting a city in decline. Public drug abuse, addicts sprawled on the sidewalks or wandering the streets, tent encampments on many street corners, and fires seen burning along the roadways. What used to be one of America's most beautiful and livable cities is being slowly destroyed by epidemic levels of crime, drug abuse, homelessness, and mental illness. One local is called Portland an open-air insane asylum. We went to one of Portland's many tent encampments with drug and alcohol counselor Kevin Dahlgren, who's trying to help the city's addicts. Many of the tents you see here are supplied by Multnomah County. Dahlgren believes at least some officials are okay with what's happened to the city.
How could they not be okay with it for as long as this has gone on, right? Every day we walk past these camps, we see people languishing and dying on the streets. That is not okay. Every year we say this is a state of emergency, right? But who here is treating it like a true state of emergency?
Dahlgren says activists actually put up empty tents to attract more tents.
That is a common practice, to erect tents to invite homeless to be homeless, right? And that makes our job now 10 times harder. They will just erect the tents in hopes that a person will find the tent and move inside.
During our time with Dahlgren, he met one homeless man who said he was given a bus ticket to Portland by the city of Billings, Montana. Portland has become a mecca for addicts and drug dealers who have migrated here from across the country to take advantage of weak drug laws. It's also attracted drug cartels. There were 11 drug overdoses on March 31st alone, and one pill of fentanyl can cost as little as $1.
I feel like
That goes back to the cocaine 80s. See how it's coming back? Opioids. This is the opioid pandemic or whatever. The opioid whatever. Right? And who is this? This ain't Jake out here. All right? The opioid epidemic. You see what the Most High is doing? All these curses shall come upon thine enemies and them that hate thee. What did they do to us in the 80s? Now it's coming back. Who's doing this? The Most High is doing this.
$1.
I feel like we've invited people to come to our city to kill themselves.
Boom. The Most High is good.
A Portland photographer who goes by the street name of Michelle Ghost has been capturing the decline of the city through her lens.
We're giving them the tools that they need to stay alive just long enough to end up dying on our streets.
After rioting over George Floyd's death resulted in the destruction of large parts.
So who was rioting? Was Jake out there rioting? No. They don't want Jake in there. Okay? It wasn't Jake in there rioting. What was that little zone, the autonomous zone in Oregon? I'm going to look it up.
To Portland in 2020, Mayor Ted Wheeler thanked the rioters before he was hit with tear gas. Things got worse for the city when Oregon voters approved Measure 110. It decriminalized possession of small amounts of drugs, making it a health care issue and not a crime. Police officials say it's led to a huge increase in the amount of drugs on the streets, which has led to a surge in crime. It wasn't always like this.
Portland, Oregon, one of the nation's most beautiful cities. The citizens of Portland attend many fine churches. It is a family town, a good place to bring up children.
In Portland today, a viral video shows a man using drugs in front of a child. Just last week, a man beat someone with a golf club in front of this Portland restaurant.
That's a dope deal gone bad. Watch this. You could tell it's a dope deal gone bad. Look at this crackhead. You see what goes around comes around? What is that? Them curses. Remember the cocaine 80s? See what happens? That which a man soweth, that also shall he reap. Paraphrase.
Just last week, a man beat someone with a golf club in front of this Portland restaurant.
No money.
The nervous owners then offered the attacker hot coffee, which he dumped on the victim.
Hot grits. No, I'm kidding. That's some Al Green type shit. Hot grits.
Attacker hot coffee, which he dumped on the victim. 79% of businesses surveyed in Portland have been victims of vandalism or break-ins. 19% have been vandalized at least 5 times.
Our business has been vandalized over half a dozen times.
By who? Jake? It was the niggers. No. Nope. Who's doing that? Who's vandalizing?
We've had 5 burglaries in our business. We've had...
Who's stealing? Must be the crackhead. Oh, the fit heads, the trank heads.
Over $100,000 worth of impact.
Walmart and Cracker Barrel are part of a wave of businesses that have fled the city. More than 2,600 downtown businesses have left.
I'm very frustrated with what's going on.
You know what that is right there. That's an abomination. What you doing there? What you doing there? That's probably an Edomite. Okay, in the Edomite in disguise.
Tech company owner Gabe Johnson is also looking to relocate.
By us continuing to keep our business in the Multnomah County and the Portland city limits, we are giving money to the problem. And so we're going to move.
Portland's social experiment, this progressive experiment,
the Chaz,
has gone colossally bad.
Jeff and Angela are Portland business owners and community reporters with PDX Real.
I can't stress it enough. It has impacted everything from our banks are being broken into, ATMs are being stolen. We have people that are just going to work, walking in their neighborhood, being assaulted.
It's like it's in some sort of like controlled demolition, really. And when I say that...
Controlled demolition. Who's that? Call halal Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shabbat Hashem Kakadash. Let me hear that again. It's like it's some controlled demolition. That's the Most High exacting revenge.
Like it's in some sort of like controlled demolition, really. And when I say that, it's because a lot of this stuff comes from policy.
Lax laws against car theft have made stealing cars a growth industry in Portland. 1 out of every 2 police stops in the city involves a stolen car. We went to one of Portland's former CHOP sites with Nick Haas, the founder of Guardians Theft Recovery, a community-based group that has helped recover more than 700 stolen vehicles.
This is the site of the Midway CHOP operation. The Midway CHOP operated for about 6 to 9 months, and our crew estimates about 250 to 300 stolen vehicles were illegally processed and cut up into pieces at this site. And they knew that there was basically catch and release. If you got caught with a stolen vehicle, you're going to get booked, you're going to get held for about 48 hours, you're going to get put back out on the street. So it kind of became like a candy land for them.
Critics call Portland the poster child for what happens when progressive policy goes too far. Portland officials are now conducting tent sweeps to clean up the city, and some believe Portland may be turning the corner. But drug abuse, homelessness, and crime remain high.
Imagine, absent some of the decay we've seen, what a great place it could be to live.
MC Street Truth is the alias of a Portland businessman who co-founded the Coalition to Save Portland with Gabe Johnson.
I remember when we used to celebrate the idea that Portland's weird. This is kind of how it is. It's weird, it's quirky. It's not funny anymore. We like to go back to where Portland was just weird. Now it's scary.
One writer asked, how long does it take for a city to die?
The death of a city. Hey, 1 day is 1,000 years to the Most High. So all that shit you did, stealing, murdering, guess what? This is just the beginning of it coming back. Just wait until them lashes come out while you're in them chains.
Dale Hurd, CBN News, Portland.
Boom. Let's get... Okay, so what is the Chaz? Let's go back. They were introducing it. The Chaz, C-H-A-Z, Oregon, Portland. Let's say. Oh, was that in Seattle? The Chaz, Portland. If it's, let's see, if it's in Seattle, Oh, it's in Seattle. Okay. All right. Basically the same thing. Okay. The Chaz was in Washington, the autonomous zone, 2 years ago. Remember this? More of the same. What are the two craziest, right, places? This is just more of the same.
We didn't.
Jimi Hendrix was a Cherokee Indian, all right, looking like a Judite, all right. Where was he from? He was from Seattle. There's nothing but Native Americans on the Okay, this is Washington Post 2 years ago. A guide to Seattle's CHOP. CHOP turned to Chaz and how autonomous protest zones work.
This is what Seattle's autonomous zone looked like as protests against police brutality gripped.
Where's Jake at? Do you see Jake? Police brutality? Where's Jake? Jake's the one getting beaten down and shot, cuffed, and stuffed.
City. Autonomous zones are temporary protest camps, each with its own set of specific goals. The protest site sprawled 6 blocks and a city park located in the Capitol Hill neighborhood.
You know what that's doing? That's setting up 15-minute cities, if you don't see it. Hey, we got our own 15-minute city here.
You know, initially it was very like education based, and there was free food and art. It was just community. I mean, it's my understanding there weren't like a bunch of restrictions.
Sade is a Edomite.
And like it was community org setting up and being like, hey, this is what we can provide today, or how many days they provided it.
CHOP, the Capitol Hill organized protest, was an occupation that followed a week of high tensions between Black Lives Matter protesters and the Seattle Police Department.
But there wasn't no blacks in the Black Lives Matter protest.
To de-escalate the situation, Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkan ordered police to abandon the East Precinct.
There was a conflict with police, and they basically like flooded that area with tear gas, and then they ceded the precinct to protesters. And then it was just kind of like this organic thing that kind of sprung up. It was a pretty like leaderless, organic occurrence.
The creation of this police-free zone was heavily criticized by Republicans and President Trump, who threatened to take it back from protesters.
And you have a governor that doesn't do a damn thing about it. And you have a mayor that doesn't know she's alive. She's talking about it's going to be a love fest this summer. No, if they don't do the job, I'll do the job.
The mostly peaceful occupation became a flashpoint in the national debate over police brutality.
George Floyd was a psyop, okay? So, yeah. Okay. I mean, we could get more on how this place is completely fallen. Babylon has fallen. All right, we're going to get one precept and go ahead and close. This is Isaiah, bear with me, 47. We're going to close on this. You've seen enough. You see what's happening to Portland. Same thing with Seattle. Same thing with what is it? Texas down there. What is it? Where they have the Austin, Texas. These little enclaves, right? Where Edomites do their thing, right? Let's see. Isaiah 47 and what? 19? Let's lock it, bear with me. 11. We could start at 10. Isaiah 14 and 10. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge it hath perverted thee. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Okay? Should have went up here. Let's start at 9. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood, they shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries, all of that, them pills, right? That witchcraft, and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. This is dealing with witchcraft, sorceries, pharmakia, okay? That's fentanyl, going back to how you thought you were going to take Jake down with that crack, all right? For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. We see you. We see this crack. This is your pharmakia, right? Right here. All right? The multitude of thy sorcery and the great abundance of thine enchantment. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Nigga, I see you. What did Cat Williams say? Nigga, it's all on your nose, right? Nigga, I see you. None seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee, and thou hast said in thy heart, I am, you claiming to be the Most High, and none else beside me, trying to be the Most High, and you're stupid. Okay? Therefore, and this is the point, okay, and I'll close. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, and this thou shalt not know from whence it riseth. Okay, let's get that over here. All right? A calamity will fall upon you that you cannot ward off with a ransom. A catastrophe you cannot foresee will suddenly come upon you. NLT. So disaster will overtake you. This is what's going on in Portland. So disaster will overtake you, and you will not be able to charm it away. There's no antidote for the witchcraft that brought upon you. So calamity will fall upon you, and you won't be able to buy your way out. A catastrophe will strike you suddenly, one for which you are not prepared. Going back to what? Let's go back here. Not George Floyd. Not that, but this.
Good morning from the beautiful city of Portland.
Invited people to come to our city to kill themselves.
A port.
That. All right. Let's read that one more time on the way out. So disaster will overtake you, and you won't be able to charm it away. Calamity will fall upon you, and you won't be able to buy your way out. A catastrophe will strike you suddenly, one for which you are not prepared. This is just the beginning of Esau's fall, right? And I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven, right? We're watching it, and this is what it looks like. Where's that dude at? It looks like this. It's lucky. Give me the pills. Give me the loot. Give me the loot. I'm a bad. Look at this. Here's your downfall right here. And Xi Jinping is laughing all the way to the bank. Well, if that's just $1 a pill, but it's taking you down. Look at Esau. Off of foil. Where's the one dude at? The classic picture. I'm gonna make this the. I'm gonna take a snapshot. Where's the classic? That. Here we go. Let's get a shot of this. All right. So with that, we hope that the electorate edify you, brothers and sisters. Shalom.